we decided today that we'll be talking about something that's actually come up in the last few weeks quite a lot. As about the companies changing the work from home, hybrid working arrangements for workers, and big companies. Like there's a few big companies that are changing, and it's still a hybrid, but they're going from and we're talking. Well, one company is a national company. The other company is a Brisbane-based international company, so big. They're changing their policy from maybe 2 days in the office, 3 days from home, to 3 days in the office, 2 days from home, and then 4 days in the office, 1 day from home. So it's still hybrid. It can still be considered hybrid, but
is it really though?
It's not what people are used to, and it's been interesting, the conversations. The other international companies changing to 5 days a week in the office.
Yes, mandating 5 days.
Mandating 5 days.
Working remote, then hybrid. Now 5 days in the office, and it's causing a lot of people to reevaluate their roles within that company and what it looks like for them moving forward. And they're not lacking it.
No.
Just from the people who I've spoken to, and that's not everyone, but the people who I have, they are using this opportunity now to look for other opportunities in the market that best fit their lifestyle, which is that hybrid, like 2 to 3 days in the office, 2 to 3 days at home, or 4 days at home, 1 day in the office.
Yeah. And most people are happy to go back into the office, but 3 days max.
Yeah. A little bit of give and take.
Correct. Yes. And you can sort of understand there's some roles that I get that can't be remote, and they haven't been remote or they haven't been hybrid. They have been back in the office as soon as you could get back into the office. I mean, we're literally 5 years past COVID. Well,
almost to the day.
Start of COVID.
Yeah.
This month. It started in March 2020.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's crazy.
We were actually thinking about, and it's almost to the day that everyone went into lockdown, like maybe last week.
Correct. So the biggest thing we're getting is I'm able to do my job for the last 2 years, hybrid or remotely. Why do I have to go back in the office? And that's probably the question around. It's like, what's the justification to bring work staff back into the office, especially if it's 5 days a week? That's always, like, from the start, that was an absolute, I would say 80% no-go for candidates.
Yeah.
Other candidates are quite happy to do hybrid 2 to 3 days, and happy to do one mandated day. So you can maybe have to be in the office on a Wednesday, but the other 2 days, you can decide which days you want to be in the office. Companies that are mandating, candidates are going, I'm looking for work, which then gives organizations that are not mandating a little bit of a leg up.
Yes. They're getting some really good candidates being put in front of them because they are willing to offer that flexibility.
Correct.
I'm kind of sitting on the fence 50-50 that I believe most companies will soon mandate it, because if the big ones start to do it, the little ones might follow. But then you get on the flip side, if they see the benefit of them still staying quite flexible, they're better seen in the market than what a bigger company who mandates that office time is.
Correct.
So I'm kind of like, which way is this going to go? And it could go any way. I think it depends on, do they have an office space? How much is this office space costing them? Where is this office space? Maybe companies need to reevaluate what they're spending their money on, maybe, versus attracting candidates and employees.
Correct. And I think we've spoken about this in the past, was that pre-COVID, the biggest question, or the first question we would get is, what is this role paying?
Yeah.
That was the question. Then the question post-COVID was, can I work remotely? And then it became, is this a hybrid role?
Yeah.
And that's where it's still at. That's the first question candidates ask is,
how many days can I work
arrangements? And then based on that, they will make an assumption. Seek has an option where you can put in on-site, full on-site, hybrid working or remote working as search criteria. It's been interesting. We did a search this morning just to see what the breakdown looks like. And in Brisbane, in IT roles, any IT roles, there was, I think, 870 hybrid roles available. Now, these roles might be advertised twice or three times because it could be with different agencies, but there was 870. There were 294 roles that were full-time in the office on site, and then 32 positions that were fully remote.
Yeah, there was definitely more on-site roles than what there was hybrid. But on the flip side,
the other way around. There was more hybrid roles than there were full-time positions.
Yes.
And it'll be interesting just to keep a tab on that to see if that does, like there was almost 2.5 times more roles hybrid than full-time on-site. It will be interesting just to see if what that percentage looks like and if it changes over time.
Yeah.
To keep an eye on that, because we're certainly hearing more and more in the office. And also, like we said this morning, 1 day a week at home is still hybrid.
Technically,
it doesn't take the hybrid away, but the hybrid has become, instead of 2 days in the office, it's now 4 days in the office. But it still falls under hybrid, and you can't measure that. That's very difficult to measure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And I just want to go back to those Brisbane stats, because on the flip side, on the Sunshine Coast, there's more roles on site than there is hybrid.
And there's no remote.
Only by two. Yes. Only by two, but there is still that. And interesting enough, no remote roles are being advertised on the Sunshine Coast either. So
yeah,
that is sort of, on the flip side of that.
I think what would be interesting, maybe in our LinkedIn post when we do post this this video, is to maybe do a breakdown on Victoria, New South Wales, ACT, Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, and just see what the national picture looks like, and keeping a tab on that as well.
Yeah, and interesting to see if they're very much similar or if they're completely opposite.
Yeah, what the percentages look like. Yeah, and we might do that. I think that would be an interesting one just to keep tabs on as to where the trend is going. Certainly, we did a bit of research to try to see what the international trend is.
Yeah.
I think we're post 2023, 2024, I think things are changing. It feels like the conversations, it's starting to happen now. We're in that transition phase of going back into the office.
Yeah. There were some stats in here as well from a Robert Hall article. So this was posted in February 2025. And basically they took stats from Q1 in 2023 to the end of 2024. So fully on-site roles have declined from 83% to 61%, but the hybrid job has risen from 9% to 23%, but also the fully remote positions have also grown from 10 to 15% as well. So I have a feeling that could be in the US.
Yes, it is.
But we do kind of mimic to a degree what happens in the US as well. So that would be interesting to come back to look at those stats again to see if we're experiencing the same.
Yeah, if the trends are the same internationally
Yeah.
for us as well, and just do a national view and then do an international view. Okay, that might be a really interesting revisit of this talk to do in 6 months' time, just to see where are we now, what does that look like
in the new financial year.
Yep.
Seeing if it's the same.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely there's positives and negatives to each side. I think right now we're seeing a lot of the negatives of the mandates to go back to work. I don't think everyone sees the positives around it, or maybe the company, I don't know how they're sending it out to their employees. I don't know how they're actually communicating, but I'm seeing a lot of negativity around it at the moment.
Yeah. Well, this national organization literally just sent out an email and said from the 1st of July, this is happening. And then from the 1st of July next year, this is happening. So it is a staged approach. But it's an email to all staff.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see how the other national company, how that happened.
Yeah.
And how it was sent out, because it was pretty well like full mandated from a date, 5 days, I believe.
5 days, no staggered approach, yes.
I don't think so.
I think the staggered approach is a better one.
Yeah.
But maybe that's getting people used to it, and then we're just adding on another day, and then that becomes the new normal.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's been it's just the last maybe the last month or so that we've just had more people. We've been in touch with more candidates that have just highlighted that fact.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, and that this is Brisbane, and we're feeling it in Brisbane, and Brisbane is connected to Sydney and Melbourne and just what's happening in those areas. And there's a lot of national companies in Brisbane that have their head offices in Sydney or in Melbourne. So, watch the space. We'll definitely circle back in 6 months' time and just see where we're at.
Yeah.
What does it look like? And in terms of employers, the feedback that we're getting from candidates is I'm looking for another role because I'm not going back into the office 5 days a week.
Yeah. And also people are willing to give up a little bit of money as well for the flexibility. That's correct. Another big thing too that we've noticed.
Absolutely.
They're like, hey, like I get it's not at the level that I was, but because I do have so much more flexibility, I'm willing to do it. So that's good.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
A company can offer the flexibility, obviously, if they're offering peanuts compared to what they were on, that's not going to work.
No, money is still really important.
5K or something.
Yes, yeah, money is still really, really important. It's the
getting
second
so much
thing that is talked about.
Yeah.
But it's then the comparison with, okay, if I have the flexibility, I'm prepared to take a little bit less to do the role.
Yeah.
And the role is still important as well. I don't want to do something that's not in line or at the level that I'm used to. But I do have a bit of flexibility in there if the organization is flexible.
Yeah.
So.
And I am finding people, when they do say, okay, I'm willing to take a cut, and you ask why, and they're like, well, I don't need to pay for parking. I don't need to pay for public transport. I don't need to pay for, if I get a coffee or a lunch or anything like that. So it is
time.
Exactly. If it takes an hour to get there and an hour back, that's 2 hours out of your day that you could have been spending with your family or your children or going for a walk, going to the gym or something like that. Yeah. So there's more than just you have to be in the office or you don't have to be in the office. It's way more than that. And I think we always talk about this, people as a package. So I do really think that you need to sit back and think about how is this going to affect our employees and our employees as a package? Like, how does that affect their families and everything like that as well? And I know that you can't please everyone either, but if you are thinking about mandating more days in the office, if you're able to, it might be worth having a conversation with a couple of people in just to see their thoughts. And, you know, maybe if they do have to mandate going into the office, is there a little bit more flexibility maybe in starting times, or I don't know, offer parking. I don't know, just a little treat, a little chocolate egg to be like, hey, I've got to go back into the office, but I get this kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it's making it a considered approach.
Yeah.
And some roles have to be back in the office.
Yeah.
Some don't, and it's probably the why. Why can't I do the job that I've been doing remotely or hybrid? Why do I have to be in the office doing the same role?
Yeah.
So
I think that why it comes out a lot, and if business just say because, it's usually not good enough for, I know, I want to know why with things, and it's like, because I said so. It's like, but why?
Yeah.
Like that little kid, and it's like, but why? But why?
Yeah.
Like, you do have to give them a reason as to why the decision is being made.
Yeah.
Because it could be a snowball effect of one person leaving in the team, and then everyone snowballs after that. So
correct. And staff have a choice. If they don't want to work in the office 4 days a week and they want to work 2 days a week, they will start looking around.
Yeah.
But that's the case if they're looking for a salary increase and there's no salary increases available at the organization they're at, or they're looking for a promotion and there's no promotion available. And that's why we actually have a job, because of all of those factors.
Yeah.
That we can then go, okay, well, we found the right person for this role because they're happy with the role, the working arrangements, and the salary.
Everything.
And they fit into the team as well. So all of those factors actually create our jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a successful placement.
Yes. So we're not unhappy about it. It's just interesting to see the trends and how they're being approached.
Yeah.
Different approaches in the market. But we'll definitely revisit in 6 months' time. It will be a really interesting one to watch and have the conversations in the meantime with candidates and see. Because the grass is not always greener on the other side. That's also...
Yeah. I spoke with a candidate just the other week, and she was in a contract role. It was just to get her from A to B. Just she was waiting for a few things. It was a short-term contract, so she took it. She got offered something that was almost too good to be true. Went for it. It was not. It was not what she thought as well. So I think too, just sitting back, looking at the whole picture as well, and trying not to jump into things. I know things are really exciting when you get this really good opportunity, but having just like that settled approach to things. I know with me, if I see something, I'm just like, yeah, I'll take it. And then I'll get home and be like, why did I buy that? Like, why did I buy that? It looked good in the change room, but it doesn't at home.
Yes.
So I think too, if you're able to sit back on it, you don't need to sign contracts straight away. You can sit on it, weigh up all of your options, whether it's going to fit every single aspect of your life. A little bit of give and take here that's what happens. But as soon as this candidate signed the dotted line, she immediately regretted it because it did not fit who she was as a person and her lifestyle. So she's like, I wish I just stuck it out, waited for the right one. But she's now placed in a role that she loves, all of that. But that really, and again, that was like a 5-day-a-week job in the office. Because she had to be. And that was one thing that she didn't want to begin with. So, I don't know. That was a little bit of a tangent, but anyway.
Considered approach from both angles, candidate and client. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Definitely.
Well, let's see what this next week brings, the next month. Are we going into Easter? the market's an interesting one at the moment. It feels like I keep saying that.
I was going to say, I think we've said that in every single episode this year, but it has been a very strange year.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone can vouch for that as well.
At least Easter's coming up. It's a long, if you've put in your holidays, you'll have a nice long break. So wishing everybody a nice relaxing Easter. And
hope the Easter bunny comes